Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with my friend, Dr. P.G. Forrest. P.G. was born in Montreal, but his parents were living in Ottawa at the time before they moved to Paris. Besides P.G.'s loved ones, he is most passionate about the role of reason in the conduct of human affairs, including public policy. Friends, you'll find his full bio attached. P.G., thank you so much for joining us today.
A great pleasure.
I'm delighted. I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
Absolutely, I am.
Excellent.
As much as I can be.
Well, thank you. The first one being your greatest challenge over the last almost a year now.
Yeah, that's a very broad and very interesting question. I think one thing I have shared with friends a lot since the beginning of the pandemic is that when I started my, let's say, my active life for real, my first adult job, my first adult position, I got it about, I think, 6 or 7 months after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And this is 30 years ago. And so I'm sorry for my age, but so 30 years means that I've been living through those years, and it's probably your case as well, where, we had the open borders. We had the cheap airline tickets. We had the digital revolution. We have seen a very substantial decrease in the military expenditures all over the world, but for the three major superpowers, China, Russia, and the United States. But elsewhere, it means more money available for public goods and more money, of course, available for consumption goods during that period. This is also a period where we have seen the global dissemination of American culture. So it's sometimes corny and debatable, but it always came, even the worst Walt Disney movies will come with a lecture about individual responsibility and autonomy and freedom and so on and so forth. So this is the background of our career. This has been the background of our life for 30 years. And for me, for instance, it has meant that I have friends all around the world. And when I say friends, I really mean it. It's friends, not only acquaintances, not only people to whom you will send a card once a year for the holidays, but people that you will actually be able to see from time to time and go dinner with and have a sense to see their kids growing and so on and so forth. All this that I've just described, those 30 years have been wiped out in a few weeks. And I think this is I'm not alone, of course, living that. And some people are in even worse places than I am. But I think all in all, it's a major shift. It's a complete transformation of our life. For months, we were not able to travel at all. And suddenly it means that you don't know when you will see your friends again. You don't know if you will ever see your friends again. You will be back to the situation of your parents, that will write a card once a year to say, hello, how are you? And giving news about your kids and your family. This is a major change. Things that we were taking for granted for so long, like I was thinking one day, it was stunning. Benelux is the alliance of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. It predates the Treaty of Rome and the construction of the European Union. It has been built after the war, and it was there forever. How long do you think it took for the borders to be closed between those three countries? 48 hours.
Wow.
An arrangement that for everyone was there for the rest of our times. And we have seen the border between US and Canada. That even during 9/11, it was possible to cross that border nearly as usual, has been now closed for months and months and months, and we have all get used to that. This is an incredible paradigm shift. I have part of my family in the US. I've been used to cross that border continuously, as probably a lot of people that are listening to your broadcast. And I think this is again an incredible change in our life. And as I said, a personal challenge, because it's very difficult, I think, for people like me to adapt to this new world that for which there is no rules yet. We don't know how it will unfold, how the situation will I don't know, and very challenging. I'm sorry I've been long-winded, but
No.
give you an idea. You think of the new landscape that COVID has created.
Yeah, I agree. No, thank you, PG. I really appreciate that. What about the top 3 things that you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, this is again another challenge in many ways. The first thing, and it's directly related to what I just told you, is that I don't think there is a normal to go back to. And I'm hearing people from time to time in conversation saying to me, PG, when will we get back? When are we getting back to normal? And my answer is there's no normal to get back to. The word of yesterday is gone, I think, forever. And that's a very important thing to think about, because it means you, me, but our friends, the people we interact to, our communities, we have to adapt and reinvent a different way of living and existing. Do you think that those empty towers in the downtown Calgary will be filled with people in 6 months? No, of course not. We all know that. Large corporations in Canada have already decided a few months ago that they will reduce their floor space by 50%, 60%, because they have realized that after all, they don't need it. Do you think they're coming back? No, they won't. I was spending at my school, I can't remember the exact budget. I will never share that type of information. But on travel and bringing people for presentations and lectures, do you think I will do that again? No. I've learned that I could do that online, and most of the boards on which I sit will never resume doing this live. We will do that on Zoom for the time being, with maybe one meeting a year.
Yeah.
By the way, it will attract very different people to boards than people you have seen in the past because of that transformation in connection. So the first idea is that we're not going back to normal, and therefore it's very important for me, and that's my second idea, that we are in charge with preparing this future now. I mean, we cannot just be passively expecting the future to come to us and say, those are the new rules. We have to reinvent them. And I think, again, now we need to start interacting with each other and starting asking ourselves, what do we want to do with this city? What do we want to do with this community? What do we want to do with this province in the future? Because the world will be very different. Calgary, as you know, geographically, this is an island. As I said at the beginning, the reason we're so good in terms of COVID infections in the spring is that we're basically New Zealand without Jacinda, but we're basically New Zealand. We're cut from the rest of the world. So what do we do in the global economy in the next 10 years, given our situation, if people have stopped traveling as they were in the past? We have to reinvent ourselves. And maybe the third idea is that innovation, traditionally, this is something we know since the 19th century, it's not something new, comes with people moving from one organization to another, from one city to another, from one country to another. So if we stop traveling, if mobility is reduced, how a city of Calgary will stay a place open to innovation, open to change, etc. This is an incredible challenge, and I still struggle finding people that are bringing me answers to those questions. And how do we preserve our economy, and how do we reinvent ourselves in the future?
PG, may I ask a question that's off script?
Yeah, of course.
Do you recall the breakfast that we had at the 1886 Buffalo Cafe? And
how could I forget?
Do you remember the question that I had for you many years ago when you first arrived at University of Calgary? I don't even think you were maybe months on the job. And I asked you the success that you had in your past and how you were able to be part of those conversations to pivot and reinvent. And I asked then, what did you see for Calgary in terms of that opportunity? And at the time, and I'm never going to forget it, you suggested that we look at plastics. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Calgary, Alberta would have been involved in plastics in March of 2020, where we would be today?
No, a huge difference. But again, this is, the worst thing that could happen to us is, and this is happening all over the world. It's not because we're worse people than others. I see that in the US, of course, but I see that in Europe as well, is that you will always have people that are tempted to build bridges to the past.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the worst thing we can do at this moment. What we have to do is trying to think what could be our bridges to the future. What could be the bridges to Calgary's future, given the advantages we have in terms of the space, in terms of the people, in terms of our look. Yeah, there could be bright futures, and I put that into plural for Calgary, but we're not there yet, and I'm still looking for people that will come with the blueprints and for this.
Do you have another idea like plastics that could be for future?
Not top of my, I've been very, very much involved in agriculture in the last year and a half, because I think, and I could talk about that for hours, but agriculture is basically like high tech. It's a word in which you have on one side the giants, and in Canada it will be Maple Leaf, Monsanto, and Saputo, and the like. And on the other side, you have the startups. You have the people that are trying to reinvent the way we eat, the way we consume food, and so on. And in the middle, you have people exactly like in high tech that are providing with pieces and parts and so on. And I think this province could have an incredible future feeding the world. And that if we were able to start attracting people to the province and say, this is a place for agricultural startups, it's a perfect market, 1.5 million people, curious, relatively wealthy, interested in trying new things.
Yes.
And so this could be an incredible future for the city, but and of course for the province as well. And in a way, it is in the DNA of this place, because agriculture has been there since the start, and I think there will be room for this in the next few years. I will bet my best shirt that in the future of this province, in large part, will be based on our capacity to reinvent the way we feed the world.
I love it. Thank you so much, PG. Thank you.
No, thank you. A real pleasure talking to you.
Oh, I love it. Did you want to close with anything, or was there?
No.
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Awesome, PG. Thank you so much. I know your time is precious. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us again.
Take good care. Thank you.
You as well, my friend. Take care. Everyone, PG Forrest, please check out all the good work that he's doing. And agriculture, that is a good one. Of course, that was where my dad was from. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on Cat's Track. See you next time.